Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Where the Dark Corners Are. Hello. I am Vina, and I am your Dark Travels hostess. Tonight, I have an extremely special guest from one of the most haunted places, and I'm talking like the whole town has got ghosts everywhere, from Virginia City, Nevada. Please welcome Debbie from Bats in the Belfry, Ghost Tours? Paranormal Guides? What do you guys call yourselves? Ghost tours?
Yeah, that's the Belfry Ghost Tours.
Okay. So give us a little history about your tour company.
Well, we first started doing ghost tours in 2009, and we've been doing them ever since then. We have a new tour that we started this season that's not ghost related. It's history, and it's all about kind of the more scandalous history in Virginia City.
So, believe it or not, I have been going to Virginia City probably for the last 20 years. And the one big scandal that always comes to mind is Juliet Ballard. I'm obviously mispronouncing her last name. But
Juliet
Belay. Okay. And for our listeners who may not be familiar with her story, she was apparently a very well-known lady.
Prostitute.
Right.
She was a middle-class prostitute.
Okay. But she was beloved, and unfortunately, she was murdered. I think, actually, this time of year. Was it around Christmas time?
It was in January. I think it was January 20th, and it was in 1867. She was supposedly murdered by a man named John Million, who I personally believe is innocent. I don't think he did it.
Right. So that was like the one scandalous scenario, history speaking. Now, for our listeners who don't know what Virginia City is, Virginia City, it was a silver mining town. They did have a little bit of gold in some of the mines, but it was a predominantly silver.
Yeah, silver is what put them on the map. It was the biggest silver discovery in history.
Right. And it was discovered by a guy named... I see his face or the portrait on the wall.
Well, there's some controversy over that too, about who actually had the claim and whether there was some shady stuff that kind of went on with that. But it was the Comstock lode that was the silver lode that made Virginia City what it was in 1859 and kind of put it on the map.
And it's my understanding too that this silver actually helped the federal. The Union win the Civil War as well.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of depends on which historian you want to go with. Some historians do believe that when Nevada became a state, it was because they needed the money from the silver and it helped win the war. Other historians say, no, that's not the case. So, yeah, it all kind of depends on who you want to listen to.
So basically, you are the best tour guide to know because you know.
I do my best. There's a lot of people up there that know some really good history, but yeah.
Okay.
I try to.
So let's talk ghosts. What building? Because like I said in the beginning, the whole town's haunted. Everything's haunted. But
pretty much, yep.
What one building would you say is, if they had one opportunity, if they were just visiting Virginia City for one day, one night, and they had the opportunity to check out a building that has paranormal activity, which one would you say is definitely
the Washoe Club?
The Washoe Club.
Yeah.
And why would you say that?
The Washoe Club if you're really into the paranormal, that's kind of like, the mothership of haunted places. And so if you only had one night, you got to do the Washoe Club. If you have more than one night, I mean, there's St. Mary's Art Center, the Mackey Mansion, Piper's Opera House. There's a lot of great buildings that you can go to. But the Washoe Club, I think, is the most well-known out of all of them for being haunted.
And have you had personal paranormal experiences there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, pretty much everything you could imagine in the paranormal field, we've experienced at the Washoe Club.
So are we talking like shadow people? Are we talking voices, EVPs? What are we talking?
I've seen shadow figures up there. I've seen objects move. I've heard disembodied voices. I've had handprints show up on my pants. I've seen people get scratched. I mean, pretty much everything. The only thing I will say that you will not experience there is demons. There are no demons in Virginia City, despite what some of the, shows or YouTube channels may tell you. There are not.
Well, that actually brings me to Mackey Mansion. So I was told, and I don't remember who told me, that they had a demon cat or something in the yard.
Oh, I haven't heard that one before.
So people understand the Mackey Mansion, Mr. Mackey, was his name John Mackey, I think?
Yes.
He was like the richest guy in town.
He was one of the 4 Silver Kings in Virginia City.
And he has this mansion, hence the name. And it's weird because it's all lined up on the same street, but if you come in one direction of the street and you park and you go inside the building, you're on the second floor. But if you just go down a little bit down the street and you park, you can enter on the bottom floor. So it's like cut into a hill almost.
The whole town's cut into a hill, yeah.
Right. The side of a mountain, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but while we were there, because I have done one of the most like amazing paranormal investigations I've ever done, actually was at the Mackey Mansion. And sometime during the night, we were told that there was like this demon cat entity in the yard near the gazebo. So
I haven't heard that one about the Mackey before. I have heard of spirit animals, ghost animals up there. I've actually seen one myself at the Silver Queen, but I don't know that I would call anything demonic.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, who knows? Maybe they were trying to jazz it up for us.
My belief is demons attach themselves to people and not places.
And that's called possession. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
and I mean, I'm not going to say do we have some not nice spirits up there? Absolutely, we do. I mean, if you were rotten in life, you're going to be rotten in death. That's not going to change. So, yeah, there are some very not nice spirits up there, and people have probably called those spirits demons over the years, but they're not demons.
So we mentioned the Mackey Mansion. What's going on at the Mackey Mansion?
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. There's so many different entities in the Mackey Mansion. I think that it's kind of hard to know for sure who you're dealing with. Some people believe that, Mrs. Mackey's spirit haunts that building. She really hated Virginia City, though, so I don't know if that's actually her. We did an episode for the Dead Files several years ago where there was a spirit outside in the yard that was really scaring people. And we actually had someone capture a picture of green mist coming up from the ground. I've never seen anything like it since then. And in the Dead Files, Amy said it was the spirit of Mrs. Mackey who was haunting the place. Everything is within the realm of possibility, right?
Absolutely.
And there is a little girl that hangs out upstairs. We've seen her move objects and stuff. And there's supposed to be, I think, one of the spirits is from one of the maids that may have worked there. So they've got a lot. They kind of got a lot going on in the Mackey Mansion.
Was anybody murdered there, or, sometimes that's the reason why people linger.
I believe there was a robbery there at one point when John Mackey owned it, because it was the office for his mining company. And there's still like the entranceway into where the safe where they kept all the money and the gold and silver and stuff. If I remember correctly, I think 2 people were shot in there.
Because they were trying to rob him.
Right.
Okay. So, but I was in the child's room on the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
And At the time, we were using a simple audio recorder. So we didn't catch it, but on the way home, we were listening to the audio file, and we very clearly heard a ghost say my name.
Oh, wow.
And I have to tell you, it's exciting, but then it's scary because it's like, are they warning me that I'm next? So,
Over the years, I've had so many of them say my name through, different pieces of equipment and stuff. And I kind of take it like they're letting us know that it's okay that we're there.
when they communicate.
Yeah, like they're just saying, okay, we see you here, we get why you're here, and it's okay with us. So I kind of take it as a compliment if they say my name.
All right, well, then that's what I'll do because for a
You
while there.
should. You definitely should.
Now, the other amazing paranormal experience we had, now, as I mentioned before, you can enter the house on the bottom floor if you come in one direction. And on the bottom floor, as you know, is the dining room and the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, also, as you walk in the front door, as you know, there's that really nice staircase that takes you to the second level. So, I mean, that's the first thing you see when you walk on the door is the staircase. But if you veer to the right, there's the dining room. So we were in the dining room, and you have the opening so you can see the staircase, and we hear footsteps coming down the steps. And you hear me on the audio saying we're about to have company. And I remember all three of us who were in the room at that time turned and looked at the staircase, and we watched and we waited and we waited and we waited, and nothing happened. And then we hear the front door open. And that was actually in January, in the dead of night. And it was nobody. Physically nobody.
Yeah.
So, and it was like, did that really just happen? Did we really have this experience? And I mean, I went out into the hall because we could feel the coldness coming into the house, and I closed the door. But it was just like, that was amazing. We didn't see anything.
That's very cool.
But we heard it.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's pretty common with the Mackey Mansion. I've heard a lot of people have experiences like that there. The Mackey Mansion is a wonderful, wonderful building, and you definitely, when it's popping big time.
And the funny part is that I don't remember if they hosted the investigation themselves or they allowed the group of paranormal investigators that I was part of at that point into it as an investigation as a whole for the group. But I was worried that because there were so many people in the house, they wouldn't be happy with that. And so we wouldn't get any experiences. But I was completely wrong. And and then I had these two really wonderful experiences in the same night. So we talked about the Washoe Club, and we talked about the Mackey Mansion and the Dead Files, which I actually love to watch myself. Are there any other just like you gotta check it off? Or
St. Mary's Art Center is definitely a must go see in Virginia City, not just for ghost stories, but just for history. It's an absolutely amazing building. It used to be the old hospital, was built in 1875 and run by the Daughters of Charity. And in the 1960s, Father Meineke restored it, brought it back to life, and made it into an art center.
So so it was an old hospital, so maybe people died there a lot?
Yeah, I mean, they had a pestilence house there. I mean, yeah, a lot of miners died in that building. It's very, very haunted.
And so what are the paranormal activity that people tend to see there?
You'll hear like this, what sounds like a gurney being wheeled down the hallway. You'll hear, if you're on one floor, you'll hear below you like people having a conversation, and it sounds like they're talking about a patient or something. People get weird things on their pictures there. At the upstairs, they have one tiny little room that still has the bars on the window, and that was like, we called it the psych ward. And so if someone was having like a mental breakdown, they would be locked in that room, and there's a lot of activity that goes on in there. People getting touched, like I said, hearing the voices. But I've never felt like I've never felt afraid in St. Mary's. It's always a very welcoming, warm kind of feeling.
But most of the activity seems to be centered around the old hospital.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So definitely a lot of juju juice there from that time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Daughters of Charity ran that. It was considered almost like state of the art back then. The care that those miners received was the best care they could find anywhere in the country at that time. It was pretty amazing. So I think there was a lot of love that was in that building over the years.
And that's pretty impressive because even now, Virginia City is a bit of out there. It's a
Oh yeah,
it's a 30-minute windy uphill road
yep,
from Reno, and
yep.
you got to go slow in the snow when
Mhm.
there's snow on the ground. But it's pretty isolated.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they say it's like stepping back in time, and it really kind of is.
Now, what about hotels? If someone was to be wanting to have, they're going to spend the weekend there, they're wanting to have some sort of paranormal experience, maybe in their hotel. Do you have a suggestion, or do you know of any particular hotels that would be a good choice?
Well, the best one would be the Silver Queen. If you want to try to have a paranormal experience, definitely the Silver Queen. If you're more somebody who wants more modern amenities, then you might want to do the Silverland, where you may not have a paranormal experience at the Silverland, but going into the Silver Queen, definitely.
So, what's happening at the Silver Queen?
Well, one of the biggest legends that's been around for forever about the Silver Queen is a prostitute named Rosie was killed herself there in the bathtub in room 11. And she found herself pregnant. The man she was the father of her child, the man she was in love with, just abandoned her. And so she took her own life. And her spirit haunts that hotel.
In that particular room still, or the whole hotel?
Pretty much the whole hotel. I mean, people have made contact with her in the wedding chapel that's downstairs in the saloon. Of course, room 11, room 13, that's right next to it. People have had experience in that one. Pretty much any of the rooms in there.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the chapel that's now there, wasn't that once the morgue? Like, because they couldn't bury the bodies during the wintertime?
Probably not. No. I mean, a lot of places claim that they have a morgue that was like the overflow. The Washoe Club has the area they call the crypt, and that definitely was used as an overflow for the morgue, at least on one occasion that we know of for sure. I don't think the Silver Queen would have, because it's not like the one with the Washoe Club. It's like almost really underground. So you can feel how cold it is in there. I mean, even on a hot summer day, it's cold when you walk into that little room.
So,
With the chapel, it was never that cold.
okay. So, again, another dispelled myth that I've heard about over the years.
Yep.
So you mentioned doing some investigations for someone who
Mm-hmm.
was looking to do, starting out, a novice, paranormal investigations. What type of equipment would you highly recommend for someone who's just starting out?
I really don't focus on equipment when I do investigations. My problem with equipment is we don't really know how all that works. So we can't really say that it's working the way we think it works. I mean, even with an EMF field, a truck or two blocks away from you talking on his radio can set off an EMF trigger where you are. So I prefer, my personal choice is really to just go into a building and sit down and kind of see what I can feel, what I can see, or what I can hear. Because I know how my body works for sure. And, if you get touched, if you hear those voices. But with a lot of equipment, I just, it's really, really hard to say for sure that it was a spirit that made that piece of equipment go off. I mean, they're definitely fun to play with. Don't get me wrong. I love to play with some equipment. But if I'm going to do like real investigation, I'm just going in there with myself and maybe, my phone to take some pictures and see what I can capture.
Okay. So no, not even like an audio recorder?
Yeah, we'll do audio recordings, sometimes maybe like 1 minute bursts. That kind of thing is kind of cool. But I always tell people just starting out, you don't need to have thousands of dollars to buy all this equipment. Get yourself a good voice recorder. You take pictures with your phone. That's all you need to start off with.
Right. So You said you've been doing this for 14 years.
15, well, we've been doing the tours for 14 years. We spent about a year investigating all the places in Virginia City and researching the history and the stories and stuff. So 15 years, but the very first time I ever went looking for ghosts in Virginia City was over 30 years ago.
Okay. And what brought you to Virginia City? The ghosts?
My first love is history, and there's a lot of it up there.
Yes, there is. I mean, like,
It,
this is like a historian paranormal's best combination.
yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I couldn't believe that nobody was doing a ghost tour up there, and so I was like, well, I can do this. And like I said, spent a year researching and talking with people and investigating the buildings ourselves, and then put the tours together. And for the next 14 years, that's what we've been doing.
Now, what would you say is the one experience that just blew you away? Like paranormal thing.
Trying to narrow it down to one, that's hard. Probably the coolest one was we were in the Washoe Club. This was a very, very long time ago. And this is one of the reasons why I always encourage people to take a lot of pictures and always take more than one picture, because you never know when you're going to be taking that picture at the right time that you need to. We were in the ballroom area of the Washoe Club, and we were sitting around kind of talking to the spirits, seeing if we can get them to interact with us. And they're down the hallway by the staircase that leads to the front door. There was a chair against the wall. And if the person with us had not been taking pictures, we would have never had the proof that we needed that this actually happened. So one of the people that was with us just kept pointing their camera down that hallway and randomly taking pictures like every few minutes. When we were done and we got up to leave, we went to leave, and that chair had moved in front of the staircase, almost like blocking our exit to get out. He looked at his camera, and the first picture, the chair's against the wall. The next picture, it moves a few inches away from the wall. The next picture, it moved even more. The next picture, it had turned. And then the last picture, it was in front of the staircase, the top of the staircase.
So basically, he was catching the motion of it.
Yeah, he was just randomly, and it took probably an hour and a half for that chair to move that far, and it was only maybe like 2 feet. So he was just randomly just taking pictures down there. We didn't hear it move. We weren't sensing anything. So we were all so glad that he had taken those pictures and captured that movement of that chair.
And it was just random.
It was just random.
So we talked about how you guys are a tour guide, or a ghost tour guide, and you're Bats in the Belfry?
Yes.
You guys, I'm assuming you have a website.
Yes, it's VirginiaCityGhostTours.com.
And it's Virginia City, Nevada, guys, because I guess there's a Virginia City, Montana.
Oh my God, yes, there is. And we had to put the not Montana up on our website, because a couple of years ago, people from Virginia City, Nevada, like the county commissioners or whatever, put up a website with all the activities that you can do there. And they have a ghost tour there, but their link led to our ghost tour.
Oh, so.
And so we're getting a lot of reservations that weren't showing up.
And because of the confusion.
Yes. So we have to make sure we tell people this is not Virginia City, Montana.
But I do think, wasn't that a gold mining town too?
I believe it was. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've never been there, so it's a guess.
I've never been there either, but I really want to go. It looks like a really, really cute little town.
Well, like I said, I've been going to Virginia City probably for the last 20 years, and I know that Virginia City does a lot of fun things, fun things, and especially this time of year. You have the Polar Bear North Pole Express train thing going on.
Yeah, and then we just had the last 2 weekends was the Christmas Parade of Lights. And last Saturday, Jeremy Renner, Hawkeye from the Avengers, was the Grand Marshal for the parade.
I did not know that. Otherwise, I would have told my son. He absolutely loves him. And I'm assuming people who may not know this, he was injured last winter.
He was severely injured.
But he's doing okay. He's healed enough to be a Grand Marshal.
Yeah, he's doing amazing. Well, he started a new show called Renovations. It's on the Disney Channel, Disney Plus channel. and its base is actually in Sparks, which is right next to Reno.
Right, right. And not too far. No uphill, windy road.
No uphill, no windy road. So he does a lot for the Reno area. He's a pretty amazing person.
Okay, so final question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could recommend a really fun place to eat or a delicious place to eat in Virginia City, what restaurant would you recommend?
Oh gosh, there's quite a few. The Canvas Cafe, absolutely amazing. The Palace is a great restaurant right in the middle of town. Yeah, there's quite a few little places that are really good up there.
Well, all right. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your night and giving us the opportunity to learn like the real stuff about Virginia City. I mean, I can do my research, and again, I have my personal experiences, but you've been doing this for 14 years, so you know what you're talking about.
I try to, yeah.
And,
but it's great. Everybody's going to come up there, and they're all going to have their own individual experience, and I think that's what makes Virginia City so amazing.
Right. And just so people know, Virginia City, being a former mining town, they still have people walking around dressed up as cowboys.
Oh,
and
yeah.
ladies dressed up from the 1850s and 60s.
Yep.
And they still have like a lot of things in the town and the buildings. I mean, one of the famous one great sign is like in 1857, nothing happened here. But
yeah.
I'm not sure about the year, but the sign is correct. And then the other thing, for those who aren't familiar, one of the former biggest celebrities to ever come through, besides Jeremy from the Marvel, Hawkeye,
Yep.
was Samuel Clemens, who was formerly known as Mark Twain.
Yeah, there's a saying we have in Virginia City that Samuel Clemens may have been born back east, but Mark Twain was born right here in Virginia City because that's where he very first started using that pen name.
Right, at the Enterprise newspaper.
Yep.
So lots of fun history and lots of ghosts. So especially the people local to our podcast here are looking for a nice getaway and would like a good ghost tour, it sounds like Debbie and her crew know what they're doing from Bats in the Belfry. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on to business.
All right. Thank you so much.
So Facebook. We have a Facebook page. And if you are curious and or interested and would like to join, send me a request. Otherwise, if you have a topic that you'd like to cover or a city full of ghosts that you'd like us to cover, send us a request at wherethedarkcornersare@gmail.com. But until next time, please remember, only the few can find the beauty in the darkness, which is why we hope to meet you where the dark corners are.